The show is supported by you. Keep that in mind until after the show when we talk about that.
That's foreshadowing.
This is Cup of Go for November 14, 2025. Keep up to date with important happenings in the Go community in about 15 minutes per week, and sometimes an interview as we have this time. Keep that in mind.
Oh, that's foreshadowing twice.
I'm Jonathan Hall, by the way.
And I'm your co-host, Shai Nechmad.
Hey.
Someone sent me our fourth episode.
Okay.
Yeah, on LinkedIn. He was like, "Oh, I'm listening to the whole thing from the beginning." And I clicked on the link, and I was like, "Oh, that'll be a fun trip down memory lane." And I remembered that we used to say, "I'm your co-host, Jonathan Hall," and I'm your co-host, Shai Nechmad. Since then, we've dropped the titles. So before we jump into this week's news, I would like to ask you, what is your title in the Cup of Go, conglomerate?
I think I'm just a Cup of Gopher.
Cup of Gopher?
Yeah.
I would like to be Chief of Staff, CTO, CEO, Vice President, President, Emperor, God King.
Oh, I will grant you all of those titles as long as you put it in your LinkedIn profile.
Actually, my LinkedIn profile is a little bit full already because I put a ton of hidden Unicode characters in it to prompt inject scrapers. But I might. I have just a boring founding engineer at company X. I could do God King at Cup of Go.
I used to be the one of the leading members of the Air Capital Linux Users Group, aka a Kludge. That was in Wichita, and one of the guys, he called himself Dictator for Life. I don't know if he still does.
Benevolent.
Yeah, he didn't even claim to be benevolent. He was just Dictator for Life. I suppose that means he still is. If you're listening, Clint, let us know.
Hi, Clint of Kludge. Okay, so now that the title discussion is aside, we can do salaries later. Let's do some Go news.
Let's talk about security.
Yeah, let's. We have actually a pretty security-heavy episode. I want to lead with the fact that we have an interview with a guy from Mind, which was a lot of fun. You should stick around.
Did you say a guy from Mind?
No, just Guy. It's
just Guy. It's a guy called Guy. Okay, got it.
Guy Gofman from Mind. But we actually have a security release that's going to come out on Wednesday, November 19th. Ooh. So it's like a fixed pre-announcement to the crypto package. And looking up the CVEs, I was kind of concerned. There's a null pointer dereference in Calypso with the same number of CVE, which is already published, but I can't understand how it's related to Go because it's internal C code in Linux. So I don't know if it's just a CVE number mix up on the security pre-announcement or if it's actually related. I'll try to make a note to get back to it, but it's a vulnerability in the Calypso library within Linux, specifically a null pointer dereference one. So I thought it would be a good opportunity to bring our listeners into some drama from other languages because, and other ecosystems. Have you heard about this recent Linux things?
No, I haven't. I mean, I use Linux, but I don't follow the news that closely.
Have you used the sudo command in Linux?
Oh, yeah.
For many, many, many years, I assume.
Yes.
So you'd probably be surprised to know they're rewriting it. They're rewriting it in Rust.
Oh, okay.
And there's a whole movement of rewriting a lot of the Linux kernel in Rust to make it memory safe, exactly to avoid vulnerabilities like the one I think the pre-announcement accidentally mixed up in the numbers, like a null pointer dereference in the Calypso library within Linux, which is like a networking IPv6 thing.
Yeah. Okay.
These things won't happen if you use a memory safe, like completely memory safe language like Rust, right?
I guess that's the idea, right? So
yeah, that's the whole point, basically.
Yeah, exactly.
So everybody's happy and there's no drama, as you can.
Of course not. There's never drama about which language to use.
So there's a rewrite of sudo called sudo rs, which has been deployed to the recent Ubuntu distributions, and it has vulnerabilities. Not like memory vulnerabilities, not like null pointer dereference, just like security vulnerabilities, like all normal ones. And people are up in arms because, the original software has been written in C and it's super battle tested. It's been out there for years and years. And now people are running in Rust and very angry. But on the other hand, if you don't do this stuff, you get CVs like this.
Right.
Go is obviously not a contender for these like very low level operating system things, right? Nobody would write desktop software in Go. Nobody in their right mind.
Nice. Foreshadowing again.
But yeah, I thought it was interesting. Usually these security build-ins are more like you search for the CVE, you can't find it. But now I found it, so I don't understand what's going on. And I'll make a note to follow up next week and understand what happened.
Next week we'll let you know if they made a mistake or if we made
it's actually related somehow to this problem. Possibly, I don't know. Anyway, on November 19th, if you use the xcrypto SSH or xcrypto SSH agent libraries, you should probably upgrade.
Probably should. In other news, something you might want to update far, far into the future. There's been a new proposal that is currently in likely accept stage. I don't think this would probably make it into 1.26, though it technically might, because the freeze doesn't happen for 2 more weeks. But I imagine this is more likely to be in 1.27. The proposal is to remove cycle restriction for type parameters. You know how Go doesn't like circular dependencies and things like that?
Yeah.
It also doesn't allow circular type parameters. So you can't create a generic type T that either directly or indirectly through other types refers to itself.
That makes sense to me, because how would you resolve it? It's like
they have figured out how to resolve it, and they're wanting to remove that restriction.
Oh,
so that you could have circular type definitions for type parameters. So that's I don't know the maths behind solving that problem, but it seems like it could be forthcoming.
What's the use case for like? It's always hard for me to come up with a use case for generics anyway. But with one generic parameter or 2 generic parameters, I can still visualize it, But do you have any specific use case where you would use recursive, like, I don't know if it's recursive, but like cyclic type parameters? Who's asking for this, basically, is what I'm asking.
Yeah, I don't know what the specific use case is, but if I wanted to do this, I would probably consider like a tree walking or like an AST type of thing as a likely candidate for that, where you have nodes that can reference different node types that reference themselves, and something like that.
So like linked list and all these sorts of things, if you want to define them, if you want to define an operator on them, so you're like an element in the list has a less than function. You want to define an interface, but then you could do like element element E sort of thing.
Could be.
Element T.
There are some examples actually here in the issue. So one is, this is obviously a toy example, but an addable interface that takes a type parameter that returns a value that needs to be able to add to itself. I think it's hard to visualize that, but if you really want to go look at the issue, it makes more sense when you're looking at it than I know how to explain verbally.
Yeah, the spec, the final update on this from Robert Griesmer is like, Gopherbot closed it a bit too early, but it definitely seems like it's going to get implemented, going to be accepted soon.
Yeah,
and honestly, like, who would be against it?
Yeah, I mean, if it's reasonable to do it, then I think you should allow it. The only reason not to is if it like creates infinite loops or whatever in the resolving algorithm, right?
I mean, yes, I don't love the fact that a lot of people in the language are fussing with like edge cases of generics instead of improving more concrete things. Like, I don't love that that's where the attention is going, because I haven't used them yet. That's crazy, but I think I've defined like 2 generic things with Go. Like, I'm just not finding myself using this stuff for my day-to-day. So, and it's been a while. Like, it's not like they released it yesterday and I'm not immediately replacing. It's okay. I'm not saying it's not okay for them to like use this stuff, but to work on this stuff. But I wonder how much of the mind share should actually go to generics and like finalizing that, or can we say, it's fine, whatever, let's focus on other things. Although I've never seen that in the proposal process. Just like, yeah, this looks okay, but we just don't want to do it because it's not important.
I suspect that happens because there's lots of open proposals, and I know this because I've created a few that are neither closed nor getting attention. So they're just sitting there. I think that that's what happens when it's the kind of thing that they think is not important.
And I think, it stands to reason when you have a bunch of language developers that they would love to nerd out about developing languages. And to be fair, Go is doing a lot of like good, useful, concrete things all the time.
I just wish they would add enums.
Yeah, I saw you complain about that today, this week.
Let's move on.
Let's move on. Proposal rejected. Add enums, please.
Yes.
I'm just kidding. We have another accepted proposal about
another proposal I'd like to talk about. We might have mentioned this before. I can't recall. This one's accepted. It's already been fixed or resolved. So I imagine this is coming in 1.26 in February. It's just to add the peek method on byte.buffer. This isn't about being a peeping Tom. Well, maybe it is. I don't know. I guess it depends on what's in your buffer, right?
What's in your buffer?
The idea of peek is that you can see what the next byte is in the buffer without incrementing to the next byte. Useful for certain types of parsing where you need to know, like, is the next character, does it represent the beginning of a new object, or is it a continuation of this string, or whatever, depending on what kind of parsing you're doing. So this is something I would actually use. Not frequently, but there are times when I've had to do this peeking, and peeking without peek is difficult. It's possible, but it's difficult. So
that seems super reasonable. I also like, I can imagine it's useful for a lot of the stuff that Google is doing, because they use protobuf, and you have the type information, like the fields and whatever, up top right at the beginning of it's like a few magic bytes when you serialize protobuf. File indicate, you know what I mean? Like file magic bytes are usually at the beginning.
Yeah.
If you want to see if something is valid JSON, a good way is to open it and see, like, if it's going to be an object or an array, if that's the two things you're expecting. Peeking at that thing and just looking to see if it starts with curly braces or brands. Just seems like super useful.
Yeah.
Why is it difficult to do it without it, though? Can't I just like read the buffer?
So you can read the buffer, but then your buffer has been read, and you can't, like, it. In particular, if you need to pass that back, or maybe let's say that the operation is you're trying to read a string from JSON, and you get this reader, and you're like, if the next thing on the buffer is a string, I'm going to read it. If it's not, I'm going to do nothing. You can't do literally nothing at all. That's not possible. You have to do something.
Oh, and then you like sort of invalidated the reader, and you have to reset it.
Exactly.
Got it. All right. Is there any work left? If it's accepted and there's already a change list, or is it like all done?
I think it's done. It's closed. Gopherbot said it was completed 2 weeks ago.
Well, Gopherbot, we saw from the previous, he's a little trigger happy. Yes. Cool. Well, I hope we'll see this in the draft release notes, but I'm just waiting for Anton to release these. I'm not checking the blog. Right. All right. One last thing I want to bring up is actually two things. I want to bring up one very stupid way to compare languages and one very smart way to compare languages. The stupid way is the TIOBE index. So I saw this actually on Twitter. Someone was like, what? Go is only number whatever it is on this index,
11.
And it's going down. It's very surprising. And I was surprised because obviously I'm biased, but I don't know if you feel it as well. But I feel like Go is having a pretty good moment. The TypeScript compilers in Go, a lot of AI-related code, people realize it's just like chaining network calls together and are reverting from Python frameworks to Go frameworks. I feel like Go is having a pretty good moment. It's not like in decline.
Okay, so I wouldn't feel bad about Go being in number 11 until I realized that Perl is a number 9. I'm like, what in the world is this measuring?
And Delphi, I never saw a line of Delphi. And
Visual Basic is at number 7. My goodness, what is this?
So I was surprised, and then I understood the definition, and then the definition of this index. Even though they claim it's like, oh, Python, you can use this as an indicator of popularity and choose whether you should your programming skills are up to date, make a strategic decision. You said it's a good index for non-programmers because it actually just searches for like language programming. So like people who search for Delphi programming or Perl programming or Go programming. And you had by the way, SQL, like who says SQL programming?
It's not programmers, I can tell you that.
Yeah, I don't know. And by the way, you see like on number 16 or whatever, you see Scratch and MATLAB and R. So I feel like this gives a pretty good indication of what this actually means. You said this is like something like programming languages, but not for programmers or something like that?
Yeah, I think this is more or less measuring the popularity or maybe the interest in programming languages by non-programmers. Because who else searches for Python programming 23% of the time? It's got to be data scientists and data analysts and stuff like that. People who aren't really programmers. Vibe coders.
Or like university students, or high school students, or like Scratch. I think it's being taught in like middle school even. So it's like middle schoolers going through their library's computer and being like Scratch programming. I don't know. Anyway, this was kind of weird. And in contrast, I want to give a pretty good resource for actually comparing languages, which is a short blog post called Rust versus Go Memory, which is just a pretty short blog post about memory management in Rust versus Go. So if you've heard about the differences between Rust and Go, you want to understand them a bit more deeply, but you don't want like a super long blog post, this is like a good way to spend 7 to 10 minutes and just like understand very quickly what's the stack, what's the heap, what's the trade-offs, why use this, why use that, and if you need to decide if you want to do Rust or Go, which is a thing that I see on the Go Reddit, like once a week. Should I do Go or Rust? Should I do Rust or Go? What should I invest in? It's a big decision. I get it, but maybe read this and make an informed decision, just based on the technical merits of both languages and your taste versus random opinions of people on the internet or really, really non-elegant indexes. I'm sorry I said stupid. Like they put it out. It's okay. It's just not exactly showing what it's supposed to show, what it's claiming to show. And the blog post, obviously, it's in the show notes. So feel free to go check it out. So that's what I think about all this comparing languages thing. One other thing to consider is where you run them, right? Like obviously Go is a sort of a backend language, and there's no other place you would use it, right, John? Actually, I need to say that in a more condescending way. Well, actually, Shai. Actually.
So I worked with a client a few years ago before I moved to the US, who used Go on Mac and Windows machines, maybe even Linux desktops too. So they installed a sort of a daemon, a service, whatever. However, all it really did was download the main app, which was written in the native, for the native operating system. But it was interesting. And the reason, of course, this came up is because we're going to be talking with Guy from Mind, who's doing some of the same sort of stuff. They're building services that run on Windows and Mac desktops, which is kind of fascinating. It's an interesting sort of niche case for using Go.
Yeah, so we're going to have a short break and then go straight into the interview. So stick around. Thank you all for supporting this show. This is a hobby. We do it for fun and to learn about various things, such as stupid indexes and peaking and the rest of the silly nonsense. But it's kind of an expensive hobby, takes out of our time, and we pay for hosting and editing fees. So the best way to support the show is to join our Patreon. Kick in a few bucks a month via Patreon. If you want to find the swag store, previous episodes, our Slack channel, our email, all the links, you can find everything at cupago.dev. And other than that, to support the show, you can just share it with other people or leave a review on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen to your podcasts, or write about it like in your blog or newsletter or internal Slack of your company, or I don't know, WhatsApp group, Telegram group, Signal group. I don't know what other groups people are into. Discord
ICQ.
Do you remember that?
Barely.
Oh my God. Any AOL, if anybody's still using, like, you've got mail. No, just share the show to other people you think would appreciate it. We want to talk. We have a little bit of a programming note before we go. Not programming. Well, you know what I mean. Like programming, like the program, not programming like the language.
Now I know how we're going to confuse that TOB index.
Yeah. So next week it's a normal episode. And the week after that, it's Thanksgiving. It's my first Thanksgiving in the US. I'm very excited. I'm flying out to Chicago. That's the plan, at least. Unless you all decide to do more shutdowns.
That'll never happen.
So we're going to take a break. We're going to take a Thanksgiving break, give you a Cup of Go-less week. So prepare. Make sure to prep, download some episodes in advance, synthesize our voices using AI, and generate an episode live, because we're not going to record one. Anything else for the break, or can we jump to the interview?
Let's jump to the interview.
All right. Jonathan, how are you feeling? How is the fabric on your shirt feeling against your body right now?
This is getting personal.
How your headphones on your head, do you feel them?
I do. Yeah.
That's good. I've been trying to practice mindfulness recently. If only I had someone on the show who knew a little bit about like mind. Oh, Guy.
Oh, hello. That was 10 out of 10. Top intro of the year. Hey, guys.
I don't know if that's the worst we've had or not, but
it's definitely bottom three.
Yeah.
All right, what are we talking about today? Since we took all this time to get Guy here.
Hello, Guy.
Yeah.
Hello. Nice to meet you guys.
We have Guy Gofman on the show. Guy, how about you introduce yourself?
Hey. So I'm Guy Gofman from Tel Aviv. I'm an engineering team lead at Mind Security. Started working with Go when I joined this company a few years back. Before that, my experience was mostly C, assembly, Python, usually for low-level programming purposes. So anything from bare metal to Linux, and reverse engineering. So quite a switch. Yeah, and now I'm a gopher like you guys.
Woohoo. Welcome. Well, if it's a 180 degrees switch from reverse engineering just to normal engineering, it's reverse engineering.
Suddenly, you actually write code that does something useful for the world.
Yeah, not just open it up in IDA.
Yeah, exactly.
Man, I love IDA. Have you ever opened IDA, Jonathan?
Have you asked me that before?
He did.
I think
actually.
so.
Yeah, and I think I didn't know what it was then either.
It's the best. I love that software, man. Whenever I see my wife is doing some like malware analysis right now, so I'll go in at home and she's like, "Can you make dinner?" I'll like look over her shoulder on the monitor. It's IDA open. It's like, maybe I can do the malware analysis, and you'll go cook eggs. This looks like so much fun. Anyway, sorry, distraction. Guy, welcome to the show, and welcome to being a gopher. We actually met. I did something for Mind. It was called something else then. I don't know if the previous name is like a secret.
No, we were called Tannin Security, which sounds pretty bad in Hebrew, because in English it's like the tannins of the wine or something like that.
Yeah.
And in Hebrew, tannin is a crocodile. So I had to explain to people, come work with me. I work for Tannin, not the crocodile, the thing in the wine. Yeah, rebranding was required before we got out of stealth.
I'm the only thing I'm worried about when you name security companies now is I try to take the word and add security later, because you're like, oh, Croc security. It's like, okay, I secure the shoes, the little plastic shoes with the holes. So we want to talk about how you use Go in Mind Security, but I think most of our listeners don't really know what Mind is, because y'all are a pretty young startup still.
Not only did most of our listeners probably not know, but half of our hosts don't even know.
Yeah. Close to 50% of the hosts of Cup of Go don't know Mind yet.
How do you know that? Did you open the Go survey recently?
Yeah, there's a little question at the end.
Yeah,
have you heard about Mind Security?
Yeah, so for sure, good question. So Mind, we're building a DLP, a modern DLP solution. For those who are less familiar with what DLP is, it's a data loss prevention. Say you're an organization, whether it's small or a big enterprise, you have plenty of data you want to secure. Whether it's sensitive customer data, financial stuff, your own, a private recipe that you want to keep secret, else your competition is going to catch up. And that data is all over the place, right? It's in the cloud, like Google Drive, OneDrive. It's on the endpoint. So your individual workers, your your employees have it on their computer in whatever folders. It can be on classic like on-premise file shares if you're maybe a more legacy organization, email. So the data is everywhere, and we want to help you prevent it from leaking. That's what DLP is all about. Specifically at Mind, we want to bring back actual security value to this specific genre of security products, because DLP is an old concept. There's plenty. It has plenty of history, and it's usually seen as more of a checkbox to get compliance. Yeah, I have DLP. So we want to actually help you prevent leaks, help you find where your data is going. Yeah, that's what we do.
Cool. So like a cybersecurity product that helps companies protect their sensitive data.
Yeah, and I didn't even say AI once in this intro, even though we do use it for classification, because we have like tailor-made classification per company. Maybe you want to protect the way you produce your, electrical machinery. So we use AI for that. But yeah,
interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And y'all are also protecting Gen AI usage, I've seen.
Yeah, we are. I mean, it's all the buzz, right? I mean, it's what your company is also doing.
Yeah, but sounds like good business. I'll just say that.
Yeah, might be a bit of a bubble. I'm not an analyst enough to say that, but we see protecting Gen AI products as just a feature of our general strategy to protect data. It can leak to Gen AI, of course. It can also leak to your private email. It can leak to your private Google Drive. It's the same for us.
Cool. How long have you been with Mind? Since the beginning, actually, if we met.
Since the beginning, I'm one of the founding guys. Second or third, depends who you ask. So yeah, I've been here for 3 years, built it from scratch with the others, learned Go on the way, on the job, and React and all that stuff.
So that's actually an interesting, if you're one of the founding members of the team, you said you learned Go in Mind. So it's not like you came with Go experience and you said, oh, that's what we should use. So I guess the team was already pretty opinionated on using Go from the get-go.
Yeah, it's a good question. I think our VP of R&D, one of the founders, Hod, he came from another cybersecurity startup where they used Go to great effect, and he liked it. I think he also likes the strongly typed stuff and performant languages. So I wasn't actually part of the conversation on whether we should use Go, but I learned it on the job. And we did have some code in Python at the beginning that we converted to Go, like a religious ceremony. Now we're mostly a Go shop.
So I'm curious, now in retrospect, would you have chosen Go, or are you happy with that choice? Do you think a different decision would have been better?
So I'll give a personal answer that I do like Go a lot because I came from mostly C. Like if I had to write code, it was mostly C code. And there are some similarities. Like the things I like from C are present in Go, like having to check the return code or the error after every function call, not much keywords or ways to do things, like pretty straightforward language. So I'm happy with Go. I think it suits us well. And we have to be performant because we have a lot of incoming data from all those places I mentioned, from the cloud, from on-premise file shares. So Go works well for us. I'm happy we chose it.
You're part of the big block of the survey, of Go survey. That's like, yeah, Go is good. I like it. Which is, I think, like at least the survey shows it's most people.
Yeah, I mean, I can compare it to Python mostly because we did have Python for the data pipeline in mind at the beginning. Like someone had to write a script to fetch some initial data from our first customers, and we changed that to Go. I think that was a good decision. Nothing against Python. I mean, I used it quite often before, but having one language for everything is a pretty big pro. I mean, we had same libraries common across our backend and data pipeline. That's a big up. And I feel maybe it's just because I don't use Python well enough. Maybe I'm more from a background where I use Python for testing and scripting. But I feel with Go, I write better production code. With Python, I make it work, but then monitoring it, fixing stuff, that's the hard part for me.
I agree with that completely. Like I've been writing Python for production stuff since 2012, 13 pretty much, and switching between like Python and other languages, mostly Go. And it just happens, especially when the team grows a bit, it's just very easy to make bad decisions in Python. Starting from, you define your struct. Oh, well, you have to import Pydantic and you have to like know a whole thing and enforce a whole style. And it's very easy to just do .asdict and okay, now I don't enforce anything anymore. Monitoring, logging, it's like always a pain. You have to pick a library and it's very easy to undo that library. And I set the logging level at the wrong place and suddenly all my output includes every single HTTP request and response, blah, blah, blah. It's hard to do the right thing. It's harder to do the right thing. And it's harder to maintain. Everything's magic. It's like text running in an interpreter. What the hell?
Yeah, I do like that Go is opinionated, and I don't have to argue with my team members about spacing and formatting and brackets.
Oh,
and
yeah,
all that stuff.
For sure.
I mean, it sounds like trivial things, but my previous job, that's half of our conversations. Half politics and half where to put the space.
Mm-hmm. Well, our conversations, Jonathan still found something to bike shed on. It's naked returns. So it's like that awkward part of every interview where we ask, what do you think about naked returns in Go?
I just don't like adding sudden rules to the language after you have a certain style. Then you have to go and modernize it, Go modernize everything. But I don't mind, really. I never felt it as an issue.
So how are you using Go primarily? And maybe you don't know the answer to this, but like, why was it chosen? Was it for technical reasons? Was it because somebody just liked it? And I don't know. You know what? Start over. I don't like that question because I mixed two questions up. Let's stick with the one that Shai mentioned. So how are you using Go at Mind? Are you doing anything interesting with it, or is it
classic backend like stuff?
Yeah, classic backend REST APIs.
So, of course, every company gotta have their classic backend CRUD. Talk to the DB and let me know what happened.
Yep.
So our backend is written in Go, but we also have, I think, more interesting use cases in the company where we do use Go, where it's less obvious. Mm-hmm. Especially my part of the company, we do the endpoint DLP. So just a little background. We want to prevent sensitive data from employees' computers from leaking out, whether it's to USB, printer, AirDrop, browser, and native apps. So for that, we have a browser extension, which is written in TypeScript. That's okay, though, because we have the native agent, which is written in Go for Mac and Windows. So that's, I think we had to make a big decision there, whether we pivot to Rust or something more OS-y. Mm-hmm. We went with Go for a few reasons. One is we already had the backend and the data pipeline written in Go, so we could reuse the classifier, which is a big part of our product, determining whether data is sensitive or not. And we could reuse the policy engine that, given a sensitive file, determines whether that's an issue if it's being uploaded somewhere. So we went from nothing to a basic agent that can protect your computer in like really a couple of weeks. And I don't think we could have done that with a different language.
Yeah.
Nice. Usually people don't associate Go with like on device, except Andy, like who's doing the fine stuff. I don't think people usually associate Go with, that's a language I would use to basically build desktop apps. That's what the agent is. But I'm surprised to hear you like. I obviously understand the benefit of all the team is using one language, so the tooling and the stuff is better. But I'm surprised to hear you talking about reuse. So you're basically saying the cloud things and the backend things are in Go. So and you said you had a script for data pipeline that used to be written in Python, also written in Go. So fetching stuff from customers. But I'm surprised to hear that you're running workloads like classification or policy engines on device.
Or
is that not actually what's going on?
It is actually what's going on. So,
cool.
I'll say I said a lot of positive things. I also have negative things about Go when it comes to endpoint, of course, especially once you go deeper into the OS.
Are we allowed to talk about negative things about Go on this broadcast?
I think It's a
Of course we are. Of course we are.
Journalistic integrity, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Just,
intellectual
don't invite
integrity.
me
Forget journalism.
ever again. So yeah, we do the classification stuff on device to be quick. I mean, we want to have an answer as soon as possible to make decisions without hurting the end user. I mean, one of the biggest pains of DLP products that they sometimes prevent employees from working if they break the machine. You know, we can easily cause programs to crash or performance to slow down, and people will complain, and the customer will demand the money back. So we try to do whatever we can on device within the bounds of reason. I mean, we can't run an AI model yet, at least on device. So we have some tricks where the backend does the heavy lifting, and we communicate with it to get quick answers. But a lot of it is on device.
Awesome. Wait, you said you had negative things to say about Go.
Yeah.
Let us know. We might change podcasts. You know, we might switch teams.
Cup of Rust coming up next week. Stick around.
Yeah, I don't actually know Rust. I only know C. So in this category of languages. So don't worry. Yeah, a few of the issues we encountered with Go for the endpoint is once you try to use things like Windows API or Mac endpoint security framework, the low-level stuff. You want to listen to security events that the machine emits so that you can make decisions quickly. Go doesn't really have much of an ecosystem, sort of like the AI thing where people say, I use Python instead of Go for AI because there's so much of an ecosystem there. So it's the same with the low-level stuff. Say we were looking for maybe a library that already handled things like ETW, the Windows events. But the best thing we found was last commit 3 years ago, 40 stars. You know, you have to write a lot of things from the ground up. That's one of the things we encountered. Another example I have is you really struggle not to use Cgo. I mean, to keep the benefit of Go, which is cross-compilation being easy, just one flag when you're building, you have to avoid Cgo. And the Mac framework I mentioned, the endpoint security framework, that's how Apple wants you to interact with Mac when you're building a security product. There are no native bindings for that in Go. So you have to use Cgo or write a separate plugin, which is what we're doing in a different language that communicates with the main Go agent.
I wonder, these are shortcomings, not of technical decisions in Go, but more of the fact that the Go community around people writing desktop software or cybersecurity agents is either very cagey about its contribution or it's just not that large. Now y'all are a 30-person startup, so I don't expect you to steward a huge open source effort within that. And also I think it's just a competitive disadvantage for you to invest any resources into making writing agents for Mac easier or whatever. But can you imagine at what size of company or team or capital would you be okay, I'll contribute this back to the Go ecosystem? Because this is something that's missing in the ecosystem, not technically in the language. You can do it because, because of the way the Panic is implemented. It's more there aren't enough libraries and there isn't enough support, right?
Yes and no. So I got two questions from you there. One is, are you going to contribute to open source things to make the ecosystem better? And one is, are there any actual technological gaps in Go, not just the ecosystem, that are preventing?
Yeah, I guess that's right. But I'm not trying to put you on the spot. The first question is just a leading.
Yeah. We didn't really give much thought to contributing to open source libraries for the low level stuff, and not because of any competitive thing. It's just new to us, so we don't have it nailed down yet internally that well. I think once we gather traction and have a lot of experience on how to work with Windows or how to work with Mac with Go, then we might step it up and help others do it, if that makes any sense. And about the technical gaps, actually there are some major things that we encountered, especially around Windows. So one of the major things is the garbage collector of Go is working against you. It's a feature, right? But if you're letting Windows allocate memory for you, for example, you're calling, hey, Windows, open some buffer, give me some information from the kernel. Then Windows is doing the allocation, and Go isn't really aware of the memory it's supposed to be protecting. So it might, and we've seen it happen, it might clean up our buffers before they're actually used, giving us panics. Or, for example, if I pass a slice to a Windows API call, Windows fills the buffer up, but the slice is still at capacity and length 0 because Windows isn't aware of those internal things that Go has. And then Go might reallocate the memory or switch it around. So we have to go use things like a pinner in Go, which you have to explicitly tell the garbage collector, hey, this memory is in use, I got this, which isn't that obvious.
That's weird, but we had George Adams from Microsoft on the show in August this year, episode 121. You could probably reach out to him and be like, because they have a specific Microsoft build of Go. I think it's mostly for backend, like crypto gov compliance. But maybe they can set up some, make Windows cooperate better with it. Maybe it's a bit too low level and I'm like misunderstanding it. But I'm sure like the Go team at Microsoft is the people you'd want to talk to about that.
That's a good idea, actually. We have some heavy lifters for Windows in our team, like really GOAT guys that I trust to know when memory is safe or not. But yeah, actually, Microsoft might be the best place to go for Windows. Yeah, the memory stuff is one issue. And also, a lot of Windows API calls require you to stay on the same OS thread. You open an object, you read and send messages, and then you close it. It all must be on the same thread. Go doesn't really care about threads in that way. Go routines can move about. So you have to either lock threads, and then you might affect some other workload you're running. Yeah, it's tricky. It's easy to get wrong. That's what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it sounds a bit awkward. The Microsoft, like I remember the Win32 API stuff was almost impossible to integrate with. I think I actually gave up when I tried to do it and like switched to C++ when I just tried to write something to talk to Win API. I was like, whatever. Yeah, but that was many years ago. So if that's still the experience, it's interesting.
There is a library, like an official one, x/sys/windows, that has a lot of the wrappers for syscalls. So you can just call it as a function, but many things aren't there. You just have to create your own wrappers and make mistakes usually because, for example, you're used in Go to receive an error and then check it, right? But when you're using those Win API functions, you have an integer that you have to check, and then you can use the error. Sometimes the error is not non-nil, but it's just the operation finished successfully, which is quite confusing.
Right.
The X, Jonathan, I always forget this. The X libraries, are they official or are they official-ish? What's the verdict on that?
I guess it depends on how you define official. They're not part of the standard library, so they're not held to the same compatibility guarantees and stuff like that. Some of the standard library depends on the X libraries, though, especially these Win syscall type things, which is interesting. But what that effectively means is that they have a different release cadence. They can be released more frequently than the standard library. And that the API isn't guaranteed to be stable from Go 1.0 forward. So they can introduce breaking changes so long as it doesn't break standard library calls on old versions of Go. So there's a weird relationship there.
It sounds a bit funky. One question I'm interested in is, and this is sort of, by the way, leading to something you probably want to talk about anyway. You're hiring for low-level engineers and engineers in general for Mind, which is awesome. Have you been able to find like low-level engineers who want to work with Go?
Oh, that's a great question. Yeah, we're hiring. I don't like to say we're hiring only low-level engineers. If I get
no, I mean your team is.
Yeah, but my team also. If I get a talented software engineer that never had anything to do with low-level stuff, I think I can work with him. Half my team were in the back, like we were one team at the beginning of the company, and then we split up to endpoint and the rest. So many of my guys don't have that background, but it still works if they're all good guys and they're good with computers, so they can understand that. Yeah, it's a good question about whether they want, like, they're real heavy lifters that know operating systems, whether they want to work with us or work with Go more specifically. The best guy, or one of the best guys I've ever seen for Windows, he's working with us. He was really frustrated at first with the language. He wanted to switch to Rust or something else, but it ended up working fine because the kernel stuff or DLLs, we do write in CPP. We're not Puritans. Yeah, if we do something really low level and that's the most efficient way to do it, then let's write it in whatever language is most appropriate. And our agent that is written in Go will serve sort of as a web service, right? So on localhost or via inter-process communication, those native parts can talk with the main Go agent that acts as the brain. So I don't think that's using Go is something that scares away low-level engineers.
Cool. Just to highlight this, Mind is hiring. I visited your offices. I feel very comfortable shouting y'all on. And I also know Hod and Ohad and whatever, and Itai. Yeah, really, really good people. So if you're in Tel Aviv, they're hiring engineers of all sorts, I guess I should say, and a technical writer for product management. And in the US, social media managers and technical account managers and directors of sales and all the usual GTM functions. Although I'll be super surprised if a director of sales engineering is listening to us complaining about calling Win32 APIs within Go processes. Although if there was ever a director of sales engineering that you would hire, it would be that one, right?
Yeah, we're hiring. So mind.io/careers, looking for fun people and to work with. Yeah.
Cool.
Just to shout ourselves out, the top person in the Hall of Fame for Shy's Git capture the flag is still one of our guys. So
undefeated.
Really tells something. Yeah.
Mind are undefeated. I actually showed someone I did a walkthrough of the entire thing, like kind of quickly for someone, and I didn't beat Ohad's time.
Yeah, 20 minutes. I don't know what he was taking, man.
I hear some inside references happening here. Can you explain what we're talking about?
Yes, I have a little CTF capture the flag challenge that I used to do it more often. I should get back into it. I don't know. People are less interested in like mastering tools now because of AI, but it like teaches you Git commands and whatever. And a lot of people have solved it, but only one person has solved it so fast that I was like, I literally felt like apologetic that he's not getting his money's worth. And that person is one of the founding people over at Mind, person named Ohad.
Got it.
I think it was like 24 minutes, something crazy like that. Jonathan, you should try that CTF sometimes. I know you're busy.
Well, you need to put a link in the show notes so anybody can try it.
Oh, I definitely will. That's a good idea. It's fun. I should update it at some point. It doesn't include like new commands because I don't use them because I just like learn the get off my lawn type of mindset. No, I'll never use Git switch. I know Git checkout and that's it. Anyway, cool. I highly recommend if you're looking for a job right now, talking to Mine. They're a good couple.
All right. I think I have probably one last question for you here. So I think most of our listeners are accustomed to writing backend software. They probably deploy to Kubernetes, to Docker, to Lambda, something like that. How do you manage all that on your on these desktop machines? Are you installing Kubernetes? That must be what you're doing, right?
Not yet. I think it came up actually at one point. But
so quick anecdote. I used to work with a guy who installed Kubernetes on point of sale systems. I think it was for Sonic restaurants around the United States. And that's how they managed everything. It was like these little like tiny POS systems all ran Kubernetes locally. Anyway.
Oh no.
So it can't be done.
Well, probably helped them a lot because I've tried Sonic since I moved to the US, and the fries are absolute fire.
Have you had their cherry limeade?
I haven't frequented all the fast food restaurants yet because I don't eat outside almost ever. But the few I have, like the difference is crazy. I guess that the real difference in taste is local Kubernetes. Because that's what KFC are doing.
That's what it does. That's the difference.
So that's a good question. No, we don't use Kubernetes. Usually the flow is that the customer uses their MDM, their mobile device management, the way usually big enterprises have software that helps them manage their endpoints.
Sure.
So we give them an installer and that's it. They just run it, decide which users they want to have the mind protection. Once the agent is installed, registers itself as an operating system service. So Windows services or launch daemon on Mac. And then the operating system takes care of rebooting us, of starting us on when the machine turns on. Yeah, with our philosophy is to try to use the operating system to help us with orchestration as much as we can. For example, the updater that takes care of updating the mind agent is registered as a scheduled task on Windows that runs once per hour.
Got it. Good.
And doesn't that mean that customers can like go into their login items and just like uncheck mine?
It could mean that, but
I just recently did that. Like went into my Mac's, thing and turned off all the software. Like I like Linear, I like Notion, I like Grain, I like Granola, I like all these. But I don't need them when I boot up the machine. When I boot up the machine, I want it to boot up as fast as possible.
Yeah, anti-tampering is a whole subject of writing code for an endpoint. Like you don't want the user to manipulate your agent, to delete it, or to make it to do weird things. So usually that's up to the customer. They can define what programs are enforced. Same for our browser extension. It's also force installed for users. Me personally, as an employee, I might not like it because, why are you spying on me? But we try to be to respect privacy and all that and be harmless unless really a security event is happening. So no reason to delete us and no way.
Awesome. So we, to round out the interview here, we usually have what we call a stumper question. Which is like the same question we ask all our guests, and then it's interesting to compare. Which is, I think first year it was what you like about Go and what you don't like about Go. We ended up with a full feature list of all the Go features on both columns, and then we changed it up for the second year, like when you started learning Go. But you actually answered that already. This year, it's who's the person who influenced like your Go journey the most? So yeah, lay it on us. Because you are a pretty recent gopher, so I'm interested to hear. We had people on the show. Yeah, I've started in 2001. I did Inception. I incepted the Go team, so I was really happy to see it. You know what I mean? But you're a pretty recent gopher. Only joined in the last couple of years. So who influenced your journey so far?
Yeah, so I've only been using Go for about 3 years. Obviously, since this is all within the same company, the people who influenced me the most are from Mind. So my boss, I guess, the VP of R&D at Mind, Hod, he was a big influence. Aside from code reviews and the obvious stuff, he also directed me to the Dave Cheney's blog, which is I really like it, and it influenced the way I write Go, and to lectures by Mitchell Hashimoto, where he talks about testing and how they do it at HashiCorp. So I got to credit Hod for shaping and directing me to be more than just a code monkey. Another guy.
Let's go Hod.
Yeah. Another guy I would like to mention is Itai Schwartz. He's CTO at Mind, which usually isn't a technical guy, but he really is. And thanks to him, all my variable names are one letter because that's how he told me Go should look like.
Oh no!
He really influenced me. No, just kidding. He did make me less of a Guyton guy and more of a gopher.
Got it.
Kudos to him.
I just I can't imagine the entire code base of mine written with single letter variables. But then I realized you all probably have more than 26 variables. So.
They just have really small scopes.
Yeah, just reuse x equals.
I remember he came like to where I work, and he said, "Why did you call that variable connector? C is enough." I'm like, "Are you sure that's enough?"
I love that. I love that. I'm just making up a straw man in my head, a programmer who learns Chinese just to keep all their variable names single characters. Doesn't know Chinese at all, just knows the character names. Although I hate Unicode and source code anyway.
But ASCII is all Unicode, Shy.
What do you mean? Oh, that's
all
right.
ASCII is Unicode. ASCII is a subset of Unicode. So I don't know what you're writing in.
Just white space.
All right. Well, how can listeners find Mind? How can they find your job board if they're in the area and want to reach out?
Or if they want to buy Mind, if that sounds I hate my old DLP solution, blah, blah, blah. I want something new.
Yeah, so they can go to mind.io/careers or /buy the product. Mm-hmm. Tell them Guy sent you. You're going to get 20% more salary. Don't worry.
Woohoo.
That's a strong domain, mind.io. It's a good one. All right. Awesome. Thanks, Guy, for coming on the show. Thanks for reaching out. This is like all you, man. I really appreciate it.
It was fun, guys.
Yeah.
Enjoy talking with you.
And thanks to you all for listening. We'll talk to you next week. Program exited.